Hi, everyone. Welcome to the She's in Biz Academy. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the She's in Biz Academy with me, Maria Kritikos, the CEO and founder of the Ladies Who Lunch Network. Today, we have a very special guest. She's a member of the Ladies Who Lunch Network, and it is Catherine Mandelkorn. Catherine is a certified money coach. Yes, people, there are such things as a money coach. You can have a business coach, you can have an athletic coach, but you can also have a money coach. She helps people transform their behaviors with money to ones that are more peaceful, truthful, and free. I love those words. If we could all have that relationship with money, wouldn't that be awesome? Well, Catherine's going to give us some amazing tips and strategies to do that today. She teaches techniques to understand your cash flow. Ladies, we need to know what cash flow is. Like I like to say, cash flow is queen. The expression is cash flow is king, but I like to say cash flow is queen. So she's going to give us some techniques to help us better understand cash flow and how to manage our money and really live within our means. And most importantly, what kills us all is the debt, to eliminate debt, and finally to achieve our dreams, whatever that may look like. So Catherine's been in banking for 15 years. She's been in investments and in financial planning. And she began her work as a money coach when she saw a gap in the financial industry. So advice was abundant. There was a lot of it out there. But rarely was advice given to feel good about money. So that's really important. The focus of financial planning is to primarily, it's about investing, but people often need help with getting out of debt. There we are again, that getting out of debt. It's so easy to get into debt. The problem is, how do we get out of it, right? So we need to know how to manage cash flow. The first thing Catherine will ask is to dream. She's going to first ask us to dream about what we want our ideal life to look like. And I love that because even with what I teach, and how to achieve whatever it is that you want, it all starts with identifying your desire and being really clear on that. And so Catherine is going to show us, first, she's going to help us identify what we want our dream life to look like. And once we get clear on that, on the dreams and the goals, then we are motivated to reach them. And she's going to help us do that with a carefully laid out plan. And it's going to become effortless. Oh, I love that word, effortless, to use your money to support your best life. Catherine has been featured as a financial expert in the Globe and Mail. Yes, ladies, we have a lot of smart women in our network. Yahoo, Canada Finance, West Coast Families, Entrepreneur Radio, and my favorite, CKNW. She has helped hundreds of families feel good about their money and get on track with their finances. There's nothing worse than feeling bad about money. There's nothing worse than being in debt and not having a plan to get out of it. It's a terrible feeling. And as we all know with the law of attraction, the more we put that feeling out, the more of it we get back. So Catherine brings her diverse background of economics, finance, yoga, which I love, and meditation into conversations about money. Yoga and money. I love it. Okay. She equips her clients to align their money with their values and to live a life they love with the money that they have now. So welcome, Catherine, to She's in Biz Online Academy, an online academy for female entrepreneurs. It is my honor to have you here today. And you are going to be sharing a presentation with us. So I'm going to let you take it away, say hello to the group, and we are ready for your presentation. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Maria. Wow, that was a lovely introduction to what I'm about to share with everyone, and I'm so grateful that you've asked me to be here and share this with the Ladies Who Lunch Network. So we're going to talk about money, one of my favorite topics, because we need it for everything. And so we want to look at money in a way that is going to serve the purpose that we want to be in this world, and not use money as this struggle and this thing that we're always thinking about and wrestling with. So I'm going to share this presentation with you. So I'm going to share my screen so that you can see this. We've called it Cash is Queen. Taking a moment, and then you will all get to see. Follow along. Okay. So money is a funny thing. It is a tool. It's a medium of exchange by definition. But for a tool, it has this incredible power, right? It has the power to change us, to guide decisions, and to create a lot of emotions, both positive and negative. But money really doesn't have to be the beacon, right? Because what we really want to live by is our values. And what's important to us in our lives is usually the influence. So I want to show you guys today how you can use money as the tool it's intended to be to support your values and your best life. So Maria told you a bit about what a money coach is, or what I do. And so as a money coach, I'm teaching people how to plan for the inflows and outflows of money. And I get to educate and empower Canadians to use their money to support their goals and dreams and stay out of debt. Because when we're out of debt, there is so much more that's possible. And so today I'm going to share with you some basic skills that you can use to change your life with money. Essentially, I'm going to show you how to create an effective and sustainable budget system. And not one just sits on a spreadsheet or in an app. We've all tried those, right? But it's an actionable system that supports your choices and your goals. So I like to use this as a visual, because budgets are not all about the numbers. We tend to think they are, and that's why we create these lovely spreadsheets and lists of numbers, and that part is important. But it's so important to identify where we're at, and I use this continuum of financial well-being because a visual often helps, right? So you can see at the bottom it's financial chaos. A lot of us can feel like we're in chaos, but it may be a bit better than that. And then the goal is to get to financial fulfillment. Now, not all of us may achieve financial fulfillment in a lifetime, but we want to at least be in a place where we're aware and working towards stability and security. And it's so important to acknowledge and understand where we're currently at so that we know what we need to do to get to where we want to go. And when you build this solid foundation, in order to create the conditions of security for freedom and fulfillment, you're going to start to move up there with intention. And cash flow planning and this budget planning is really pulling you out of the chaos and avoidance and creating awareness that lays the foundation for that stability and freedom.
Catherine, may I interrupt you? Thank you so much for the visual. And when people hear budget, they think, I don't want to budget. My life is going to be over if I have to budget. But that's not the case, is it?
It's not, no. And that's why I'm going to explain too how I talk about budgets. I use the word budget because it's relatable. Everybody's tried, well, most people have tried a budget of some sort in their adult life. But what I call it is a spending and savings plan, because we've got the money that we have, we've got money coming in from one source or another, right? We all have a source of income. And we're going to spend it and we're going to save it. And it's so knowing what we need to do in order to spend that money without guilt and save it in a way that's really fueling our value and our purpose, rather than just reacting to life. So yeah, budget can be a scary word. I'm definitely going to talk about that too. So this is where I start. So before we even get to the numbers, because that usually is the scary part, right? It's like, oh my gosh, I don't want to look at all those numbers, and creating a budget, it means restriction. So before we even get there, it's so important to know what you want out of life. And so you can still plan for the future, but living in the now, right? And so to do that, and we've all heard about goal setting, we've probably done a lot of work around goal setting, but I don't like to underestimate it when we're talking about your finances, because it's really what's going to give you this power and this fuel to being successful with your financial management. And so it's clarifying your goals. And it takes writing them down, right? We always have these ideas of what we want to do, but when you get really clear and set specific intentions for what you want to do, you can then start to plan your money and prioritize your goals and start to achieve things you maybe never thought possible. Especially when you're creating goals from your current reality, you think, oh, well, I can't afford to, so what's the point of even putting that down? But I really want to encourage you to dream a little or dream big, right? And start to think about things that you know, those internal conversations that we have, like, oh, I wish I could do that, but I don't have the money for it. Oh, that'd be so nice to do, but there's no way it's ever going to happen. Start to see, okay, well, what are those conversations that you're having with yourself? And then start to put it down. If it's something you've always wanted to do, write it down. research the cost a little and know when you want to do it. And I'll get to how that's going to actually come into the budget process too. Separating business, I know a lot of you may be self-employed, so it may have business goals as well, but separate those from your personal goals. So maybe even make a separate list for your personal goals. And I put here your goals are your guideposts. They really are. I mean, we think, oh, I'm going to set a goal, and what if I don't achieve it? Well, if you never put it down or set the intention, it's going to be even harder to get to that place. So it's really about taking the time to set the intentions and set the goals of how you want your life to look like. So I'm just going to show you this, and this will be in the worksheet too that you're able to download. It's making a list of your goals and making them specific and measurable. So we're going to make choices about money on a daily, monthly basis, and your goals and priorities are really going to help you decide what path to take. So these are just some examples. You're going to have your own goals, but you're going to get really specific on them. Research their costs, decide when you want to achieve them. This is where your goals get really real. If they seem unmanageable, like you're putting it down and you're like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to ever do that. Ask yourself why this goal is important to you. What will you be willing to do to achieve it? Or is there another path to that goal that is more manageable in terms of cost? Because when you start to see these numbers on a page, it may feel a bit daunting. And then put yourself in that future place and think, how will I feel when I achieve this goal? What value is it going to add to my life? And so that you're starting to build your commitment to the goals that will give you the most satisfaction. Because that's really the whole purpose, right? Is we want to live the life we want to live, and money is the tool that's going to help support those goals. So it's shifting our mindset in how we're actually looking at money. So Maria, here's the budget, right? Is it a bad word? Yeah, it is.
Budget sounds like diet. It's like, oh, I'm going on a budget? What? No.
I know, right? And it does, because usually it has this negative connotation because we think, oh, I've tried that and it doesn't work. Because budget usually equals scarcity, right? If most people, when they create a budget, you're cutting out all the good stuff, right? Okay, I'm going on a budget.
So you think. Or so you think, right?
You have the best of intentions too. And I'm not saying that's the right way, but usually you start creating a budget to spend less and save more, which is noble, it's great. But that's when all the good stuff gets cut out right away, and then it's not sustainable, right? Because you're like, okay, no coffees, because you've heard that, yeah, coffees, if you add those up, every day for 365 days a year, you're going to have this much money to spend. But if you love your coffee and it's really not realistic for you to cut that out of your day, then what are some of the other things that you can change and shift that are in alignment with who you are? So that's why I was talking about the spending and savings plan. It's changing the name a little, and again, it comes down to mindset, right? But it's really about
Catherine, you said it. Sorry to interrupt you. You said it does come down to mindset, because if you look at budget from a place of coming from a place of scarcity, then that's how you're going to feel about it. But if you say I'm budgeting so that I can make room for abundance, then you have a different mindset. It's like, oh yeah, I'm budgeting so that I can make room for abundance. That feels better for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's taking away that, oh, I'm going to be in lack of, right?
Exactly, yes.
Yeah, so and that's really about taking control of your money and having the discipline to do it, but that when you hear discipline, it also comes back to that budget and scarcity. So I'm going to show you a new way to look at your money. Because like I said, we all have this money coming in from one source or another, where however it is that you earn income, and you're going to spend it and you're going to save it. So we need to see how you're going to do that. So this is the one rule, right? It's super simple, but income equals spending plus saving. It sounds simple, but why is it so hard to do? And if you have debt, that's where it becomes difficult. Is even though this rule sounds like we're all thinking, oh yeah, of course it does. Of course that's the equation. But when there's debt involved, and I'm talking about consumer debt, credit card debt, lines of credit debt, that rule is being broken. And so why is that so hard to do? Often can be a lack of information, maybe avoidance of the numbers that you have. Magical thinking comes into play, like, oh, I don't know, it'll all work out. I'm not going to look at, my statements and think about money.
Catherine, avoidance, you said it, avoidance. I think a lot of women do this. And I think there was a book, I can't remember the name of it, the Shopaholic or something like that.
And
like her Visa bills would come and she'd be like, no, I'm not even looking at them. You know, that's avoidance, right? That's not going to
Absolutely.
solve anything.
No, but there's a lot of fear to look at those numbers because it can take work. But yeah, avoidance is a big one for a lot of people. And then the other one too is focusing on satisfaction of immediate wants, right? Like just thinking of the now. And so I want to give you the tools where you can make those choices to spend in the immediate and in the now, but consciously. And so you know that the impacts to your overall financial health. Because you really can. You can find this balance on being clear on your highest priority goals, getting clear on the numbers, and setting up a system to support you to make those clear decisions. It's possible. So this is what it looks like. Now we're going to get a bit into the numbers, right? So this equation of income equals spending plus savings. So income sources come from various places, right? You might be an employee, you might be self-employed, and your income varies. Child tax benefits, child support, rental income, investment income, you name it, right? Wherever it is that you earn income that you use to spend on your lifestyle expenses. The spending part are your fixed monthly bills, variable monthly expenses, which is like groceries, eating out, coffees, entertainment. And then there's debt repayment. That becomes a spend, right? If you do have debt, there's going to be an amount that goes to debt. The saving piece is fixed annual bills. Now, we don't think of those bills as savings, right? But if you have property taxes to pay once a year, you want to be putting money aside every month and saving for those property taxes or the car insurance. The annual or regular variable expenses, I'm going to talk a bit more about those, but those are things like clothing, gifts, kids' activities, travel. You're not spending the exact same amount every single month on those expenses, so we need to create a plan for them so that you are saving for those regularly. And then lastly are your goals. We talked about the goals and then making a list, setting intentions, making them specific and measurable. So now you want to bring that into your plan so that you're actually saving for those goals and starting to achieve them. So it's no longer that conversation of, oh, I wish I could do that, right? It's an actual plan to start seeing it happen. So the numbers, everybody's favorite part, right? We're really going to make this a little more fun. So I always say I've underlined that, right? Use actual numbers, no guessing. That comes to that avoidance factor too, right? Not really wanting to look at even our pay statements. And sometimes that can be really challenging for people to understand the pay statements. I've seen hundreds of different types, and they can be confusing. But it's taking the time to. So if you have a paycheck, a pay statement, that's pretty standard source to look at. But if you're self-employed, it gets a little more unclear, right? If you don't know when different invoices are being paid, or your income is fluctuating, it's starting to pay yourself a regular owner's draw. We're going to talk about that in a minute as well. But it's knowing where your income is coming from and what those amounts are. So fixed costs. Monthly fixed costs are, rent, mortgage, life insurance, utilities, all of those fixed bills that you have in a month. And it's starting to make a list of those and knowing when they're due. And it may mean going through your statements. I'm not a big fan of tracking expenses because it just keeps giving you the awareness, which is great, but it doesn't change anything. But you may need to, if you've never looked at what your expenses are, take out a couple of statements, get your bills in order, and take the time to do this so you can start to make a list of those exact bill amounts every month. Then there's those annual fixed costs, like property tax, car insurance. Think of all the things because you may forget about them because you're only paying for them once a year. But take the time to really think, okay, what else do I have to pay in a year? And write them down and how much they are. It may take a little time, and this is where people can think, oh, I'm not going to do this. I'll do this later. So do it in small increments of time if it's too overwhelming. Okay. And then your variable costs. So monthly food costs, entertainment, lunches, alcohol, parking, bus tickets. Like, we don't think about those little things, especially if we have a parking app, right? It's just going through the app and being charged your credit card. But start to think about what you spend in a month on those items. Groceries are the biggest unknown for people. Everybody wants to know what everybody else spends on groceries because nobody really knows what they spend. So it's starting to get a sense too of, what you want to spend. You can look back at your statements and you can make a summary of the last few months of spending, but what I really want you to do is start from today. You want to choose an amount that's reasonable and realistic that you can commit to from today going forward. Because the past, yes, can give us an indication of what we've been spending, but it's really about changing this to say, okay, from today going forward, this is what I'm choosing. And so you may have to come back to these numbers because they are variable, and you may have to come back to them depending on what the bottom line is. Okay, and they'll start to all come together shortly. So planning for your goals, talked about putting the goals into your spending and savings plan. So you want to look at those goals that you put down on paper and when you want to achieve them by. So I've used an example here of vacation, right? If say you want to go on a family vacation, it's going to cost you $6,000 and you're going to go in 2 years' time. I mean, this is simple math, right? We divide it by 24, meaning you have to put $250 aside per month into your vacation fund. Use one for retirement as well if you wanted to have an additional $300,000 in 25 years. I've assumed some rate of return here. It's putting some money aside per month. Now it all sounds easy, right? It comes back to that simple rule, but I'm going to show you how to put this all together so it doesn't just stay as numbers on a page. And those goals, you may find when you've done the list of this to see how much you want to contribute per month for each of the goals. You may think, oh my gosh, I can't afford any of those. Or maybe I can only afford to put some aside for retirement and vacation. That's where it's going to come down to prioritizing your most important goals. Because we really, and this is, I believe Oprah said this, so I can't steal her quote, but we can have it all. You just can't have it all at once, right? So it's starting to shift that mindset as well. And when you start to see your numbers and see your intentions and know, okay, this is the bigger picture, it motivates you in a way you never thought possible as well. And it helps you move out of the immediate want and the immediate now to say, okay, I'm creating a plan to move towards those goals. And it gives you momentum, and it's exciting when you can start to see, all right, I'm taking care of my money and I'm choosing where it's being directed to. And then it comes down to these goals become your fixed costs. And we've all heard you pay yourself first, right? And in theory, that sounds great. But unless there's a plan and an implementation plan, that pay yourself first is sort of abstract and it sits out there. So we need to bring it all together. But before we do, we're going to talk about debt. Most people ask this, can I save and pay down debt at the same time? I say yes, absolutely. But debt elimination definitely is a #1 priority. You want to get out of debt because the sooner you're out of debt, the more you have to put towards what's truly important to you. And the key is having a systematic payment plan. And this includes, you want to include your debt payment as a fixed cost. And there's an excellent debt-free calculator on our website that you can use where you can enter in different amounts and interest rates, and you can actually set a debt-free date. And that in itself, knowing when your debt-free date will be, and you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, can be so liberating. And it's coming up with an amount that you can pay towards debt that will give you a debt-free date, ideally less than 5 years. But that amount also has to be affordable. Like you have to be able to afford that debt payment. Mm-hmm. And this is a bit of a balance, and there we kind of go back and forth in the planning part of it. Because, and this is how you can save and pay down debt at the same time, because if you put all your resources towards paying off debt, like let's say you're creating a budget, right, and you're cutting out your coffees and you're putting everything you can towards debt, it's not sustainable because you're likely going to need to use credit again when another expense comes up. So going back to saving for those variable costs and like clothing and travel and kids' activities and gifts, and also for your goals, it's so important to put money towards those goals and those bills and those savings and pay debt at the same time, because then you're going to get off this never, never plan. And the never, never plan is putting all your energy and resources into debt, but then something comes up and you use your debt again, right? Most of us have been there at some point. So what does all this look like, right? So this is an example. Let's say you have $6,000 of net income. So this is money after tax, after expenses. And you've got your fixed costs, your variable costs, and your debt payment. Your debt payment now becomes a fixed spending cost. And then you're also saving for your property taxes. You're saving for all those variable personal care, which is haircuts and color and having manicures, things that we don't think about all the time, right? But it's actually setting amounts that you're choosing to spend within a year and then saving for it monthly. And then having your goals in there as well, so that you're putting money towards your goals. So again, it comes back to this income equals spending plus saving. This takes some work to get to. And so it's not maybe something you're going to achieve in 1 hour of one day. It's really about taking the time to build the foundation and choosing how you're going to spend and save your money so that you're going to set that foundation for the rest of your life. No matter how much income, your income changes, it may fluctuate, it may hopefully increase over time, and knowing how to adjust your spending and your saving accordingly. Okay, so this is the difference between a budget and a spending and savings plan. An effective budget or spending and savings plan has an implementation system. And the way that I teach this is a system of accounts. And you can see there's little envelopes on the side here. You may have heard of the envelope system, but we don't like to have a whole bunch of envelopes of cash around the house. It's just not practical. So it's using a system of accounts. And I'm going to explain this briefly. And see this bubble at the top here. We've got family income. So whatever your sources of income are, I'm going to talk about self-employment income in a moment. But your net income is the money that you get into your bank account every month. That's going to pay your bills, right? You've got your fixed monthly bills. And we've determined what those are and when they're due. Monthly spending is the variable monthly spending costs. So your groceries, your entertainment, sometimes I put gas in here, I've got fuel there, it all depends on the plan. But it's that variable money that we spend. So we do need to eat every month, but it's not the exact same amount every single month. Now this amount of money is really the heart of the whole plan. It's where a lot of us can get off track. And so what you're doing is you're essentially paying yourself an allowance. And I like to do this at least twice a month, so every 2 weeks, or on the 1st and the 15th, is you've determined what that variable spending is earlier, and now you're going to pay yourself twice a month or every 2 weeks an allowance. And that allowance is to be spent on groceries, entertainment, and so that you're not having to track all your expenses, because nobody likes tracking. It's daunting, it's just not fun. Right? And so it's like having cash in your wallet, and when it's gone, it's gone. And it's teaching you how to change those behaviors with money so that it's still your choice. You can choose to spend more on going out for dinner, but maybe it means that you're going to have less money to spend in another place. Right? So it's setting up new habits and new behaviors so that you can achieve all of your other goals. And how we're going to do that with the other goals, with clothing, gifts, vacations, there could be many other lists here, is, how I said you're dividing it by the number of months that you're going to save that for, because every month or every pay period, you're going to send money automatically. And you can set this up with any bank in Canada to set up automatic monthly recurring transfers. And that is the key, because if you don't set up that from the beginning, you're left to your own devices. And in the moment, we're like, oh, I'm not going to put the money to vacation right now. I'm going to put it up here. Right? I want some more clothes this month. So it's important to create the foundation, create all the numbers so that you know what you're going to transfer to those accounts. Okay, I know this is a lot of information. I want to talk about business income and expenses briefly, because I know a lot of fabulous ladies who lunch ladies are either in business, starting a business, and it's so important to have a plan for our business income and expenses and to know how much you're really earning in your business. And so I've got a worksheet that you can use to start articulating what all those expenses are, because it's really important to, so you want to know how much you're really earning and spending in your business. And if you don't know, then it's starting by separating business and personal cash flow. a lot of people have their business income coming into their personal checking account, and they're using their personal credit card for business expenses. That in itself can just be confusing, right? So we want to separate the two to create your business. You do not have to be incorporated to do this. You have sole proprietorship and running your own small business. Have a separate account for your business income and spending. And so that all business income and receivables go into this account and all the business expenses go out of this account. It's going to give you a greater sense of clarity. And then we want to look at creating a spending and savings plan for your business. Now, it doesn't have to be as big with as many accounts, but it's starting with expenses first, as your income may be variable from month to month. And so here's another visual for bank accounts for success with your business income. Business income will be in your business account because you're essentially going to have your business income comes into your business account, and you're going to have the expenses that will go through that account. Now, to determine what you're going to pay for an owner's draw, that's what I like to call it, because you want to pay yourself a salary even if you're self-employed. Because that's what's going to give you, no matter what you do for work, you still have your mortgage or your rent to pay. You still have to buy groceries. You're going to need the occasional clothing and have some fun, right? And so no matter what you're earning in your business, you need to pay yourself a regular monthly salary rather than just taking, if you get a big invoice receivable and you have $10,000 one month and then you have nothing for the next few months, you don't want to spend all that in 1 month. And so I'm going to show you briefly how to do that. So this is a really brief way that you're just basically going to average your monthly receivables and subtract your average monthly expenses. And that can be one way to start determining how much you can pay yourself. Now, I start with the personal spending because that's going to show you what you need to live on every month, right? When you've added up all your fixed bills, all your variable costs, and all your goals and debt repayments, that's going to give you an indication of what you need to pay yourself in a month. But it may not be possible. So it's looking at ways to then pay yourself a salary from your business. Are you going to have to borrow? Are you going into debt in your business anyway? There's a lot of components to that. And so just going to talk about it briefly on this webinar. But you may use credit, right, to keep your business afloat. And so you may need to create a solid plan for using that credit, because you don't want to be dipping into a line of credit or a credit card whenever a business expense comes up. And so it's determining what those expenses are business-wise, what they are personal, and maybe you need to draw a salary, a supplemental salary from the line of credit. And when it's a regular fixed payment, you know exactly how much you will be going into debt and when you can pay that off. So I showed you how to create that personal spending and savings plan, but you really need to see, okay, does the salary cover your needs? Your personal plan really needs to be reasonable and realistic. So you don't want to start cutting everything out because your business income can't afford it. And that's where you may need to supplement the income temporarily. And this isn't a forever plan because ideally the business starts to grow. And that's where you can talk to Maria. Okay. One other quick thing with business income, saving for tax. Now I know this may sound obvious, but there's many business owners that are not putting money aside for tax because that immediate payment feels like, oh, well, we need every bit of that money to maybe pay for our bills that month. But taxes are a fixed expense in your business. And you want to work with a tax professional just to know what you need to put aside for CPP and taxes. Because even if you're not earning a lot, let's say you're in your first year of business, and you're not earning a lot of income and you've got a lot of expenses, you still need to contribute to CPP, which is Canada Pension Plan. So you do need to be putting something aside every month for that because you will have a tax bill. So every invoice that you get paid on, you put a percentage of it aside in an account called taxes and do it immediately. That you need to absolutely pay yourself first. And if you collect GST, put 100% of that GST collected into the same tax account. You can do that or set up a new one called GST. When you do that, your future self is going to thank you. And also your future stress levels, because nobody really enjoys tax time. But when you've got the money in the account, when you're self-employed, to pay CRA, it feels so good. And so start to think and planning ahead and putting that money aside. And when you have your spending and savings plan, you know that, okay, I'm not going to need that money. That money can go to be saved for tax. Okay, we're just going to get back to some simple equation again. The income equals spending and saving. Now I know it's very simple and I know I keep repeating it, but it's so important because when you get all of that spending and saving within the income you have, you're going to feel so much more clear and like so much more is possible because you know that you're directing your money with intention. Now I know this is a lot of information that I've shared, and it's a system of accounts, and it means, you know, putting money aside, and you may have debt, and I'm going to save for it first. So sometimes I hear a few yeah buts, especially if your income is never the same, you know, or you told me I've got to set up some bank accounts and want to pay a lot of bank fees. And so fluctuating income, you may need to develop a frugal plan that balances income and spending for lower income months, just to be sure you're able to cover basic costs. And knowing that it's not, again, it's not forever. I think that's what can be the most daunting is seeing, oh, okay, well, you know, I'm on this frugal plan and it's going to be for the rest of my life. And so you fall off and you think, okay, I'm just going to go back to using debt. But ideally your income is going to increase. And when your income is higher, you can identify which savings goals are the priorities and allocate your extra income towards filling those accounts. And ideally, if you're self-employed, you can hold afloat in your business account for 1 or 2 months of basic spending to smooth out the pressure on your money in those leaner months and create a plan based on your average income. Now, I know that takes a bit of work, and I'm always happy to answer any questions around that. Just briefly on bank fees, a lot of them are free online savings accounts. So you're not going to be paying extra bank fees, but you may for that other monthly spending costs. And honestly, the cost of an extra bank account is so worth it to have the clarity that you're so craving when it comes to using your money to support your best life. Unexpected expenses, right? Things totally come up. And often when you start paying attention to your money, that's when the things come up. Like you've just created a plan and then the car breaks down, right? So the reality is that we are going to make choices in how to spend our money. And if an expense comes up that you didn't plan for, then at least you're going to have the clear information on what the trade-offs are and what will be required to cover that new expense. So things happen. We don't always have 12 months to save for everything. So it's at least making a plan as to how that's going to happen. If you would have used debt prior, you may need to use debt, but at least you're clear as to how much you're using and knowing when you will be out of debt, rather than it just accumulating on the line of credit, right? Current earning points on credit cards. So I had said in a previous slide there not to use credit cards. Now you can use your credit card, but only when you've got the money in your account to pay that charge immediately. And I say immediately, especially when you're creating new habits around money. So you can start to use your credit card as long as the money is there, but earning points on your credit card is almost irrelevant if you're carrying a balance on that card every month. Those points don't mean anything if you're paying interest and continually accumulating a balance. So those are the things that may stop you. And there may be a few other things too that stop you from starting to look at your money. And so that's why I'm always here to answer questions and to help you guide you through that journey. Because I know once you have a clear plan for your money and for your life, you're going to feel so good. You're going to feel a lot lighter. A lot of people say, oh my gosh, this has changed my life, right? Because it's something that you never thought possible with money. And a lot of people say, oh, I'm not good with the numbers. And you really don't need to be a financial genius to be successful with your own cash flow management. It just takes some time and some intention and commitment. So I offer complimentary consultations. If you ever have any questions on how this can actually work for your own life, then I'm happy to answer those. So I'm going to bring it back to Maria. And there we go.
Thank you, Catherine. Oh, wow. How insightful.
A lot of information.
It is, but it was very clear and it was very concise and very valuable. And I think the number one point is always to be aware. And that's what I always teach women in every aspect of your life. I think awareness equals power. And I know we talked about, the avoidance and closing your eyes when the credit card bill comes and burying yourself under the blanket saying, no, this is not happening to me, or this is going to go away. Well, ladies, it's not going to go away. And the sooner that you face your fears and the sooner that you are aware of your spending and where everything is going, and it sounds scary, but once you actually like I said, face that reality, and then take steps to make it better, to get yourself out of debt. It actually is very, very empowering. And I recommend all of you really take a look at your numbers. Often as female entrepreneurs, we don't know our numbers. And I'll be honest, myself included, I'm not perfect. Trust me, I'm not a numbers person. I am a people person. And, that's one of the reasons I started the network, connecting fabulous female entrepreneurs. But, when I first started working with coaches, they would say to me, well, what are your numbers? I'd be like, what do you mean? What are my numbers? You mean how many women are in the network? So it took me a while, but I am in the process of becoming better with my money. And it is my wish for everyone in the network, everyone in the LWL network, to really have a solid understanding of their numbers if you're in business for yourself, and to have an action plan to get you out of debt if you are in debt, or to formulate an action plan that will help you achieve the things that you want. So Catherine, thank you so much for hosting the webinar for us, for our fabulous She's in Biz Online Academy. And again, if women want to reach out to you, of course, you are a member of the LWL network, and they can do that in the private Facebook group. You talked about values and what's important to people. And one of the reasons I started the network was to show women how truly powerful they are. And being powerful means knowing what's in your bank account, knowing what's going out, knowing what you can and can't afford. That is power. And the values of our network are freedom. Money often equals freedom. That's really,
it does. Yeah.
That's it, right? That's why we want to make it, because we want to be free. We want to take those vacations with our family. We want to spend more time with the ones that we love, or whatever it is that we want to accomplish. We need money to do it.
We do. We need money for everything in life. And so it's acknowledging our relationship too that we have, or that conversation that we have about money, so that we can stop seeing money as this this force against us, and rather a tool that we can use, because money is a tool. So yeah.
Absolutely. So going back to the values of the network, freedom is number one for the LWL network. Passion, authentic self-expression, independence, ladies, independence, and contribution. So if those values sound like you, if those values align with you, please visit invitefrommaria.com to receive your exclusive invitation into this amazing network of global, I would say, female entrepreneurs living their dream and helping other women do the same, and connect with myself and Catherine and many others. So again, invitefrommaria.com. So ladies, that's it. Catherine, thank you again for joining us. And one more time, if women would like to connect with you personally, how can they do that?
They can reach me at mcoach.ca is the website. And they can send me an email at any time at catherine@moneycoachescanada.ca. And I've got a Facebook page as well, which I'm always available on. And it's Money Coach Maven.
Money Coach Maven.
Money Coach Maven.
I love it. Thank you so much, Catherine.
Thank you, Maria.
See you again. Bye, ladies.
Bye.